Today I'm here with a story about how important it is to spend time with your children, quality time. There was this one very famous surgeon who had a lot of um, ambitions, and he started out with a small clinic, and then he went on to a bigger one and a bigger one, and in a little while's time he had a hospital of his own, and then he used to spend a lot of time there. So he had started out early, and when he was in his 30s they had their first kid, and the kid grew up, but he was so busy in his hospital that it was those starting days when you have to put all your time and energy into your project. So he never used to spend that much of time with the family. And then he had this one single, you know what, one and only son. An only son is very important. And he was very busy. So many times his wife told him, why don't you take time off? Let's go out for a picnic. Let's go to some resort. Let's go to a wildlife park. Let's go somewhere. But he never had time. And then slowly the child grew up. He was 4 or 5 years old. Again, the mother said, let us go to water parks. Let us go to these fun places for children. And let us spend time with him off there. And again, he was like, you go with him and give her all the money and everything. But he didn't have time because he said, see, it's so important that I set all these things up. Tomorrow we can send him abroad for study. Tomorrow we can do so many things for him, which we are not able to do now. And I appreciate that because many fathers do think that is important, and it is. They say money is very important, but money is not everything. It helps you to buy your dreams, but it doesn't make dreams come true. So anyway, again the mother, then the mother thought to herself, it's better that I take my son, because why wait for the father to come along? Maybe it will not happen, and then my son will grow up and not experience all these moments of pleasure. So she used to take him out to parks, she used to take him out to football games, she used to take him out to cricket games, and he learned to appreciate all these things with her. And then they became like, it was a everyday thing. On Saturday they would go out somewhere and have a nice time together, and slowly grew up. Next thing, he was in the sixth and seventh, and there the children are very impressionable. They form friends and make a friend circle, and then those friends become very influential in their lives, play a big role of influence in their lives. And next thing, my friend was in the ninth class, and by this time the father had a very, a very good practice that was doing very well, and he was able to afford a lot of staff. It became a multi-speciality hospital, and everything was going very fine in the hospital. So now he thought that it's time I take time off and spend it with my son, because my wife has always been telling me that it's important. So I better take that time off and spend it with him. And could you imagine? He came home that day with so much of happiness in his heart. Then he went and bought tickets to one game, and he said, son, come on, let's go and have an evening out together, you, mom, and I, and let's have some fun. And the son looked at him and said, but dad, I already have a meeting with my friends today. We are going out to this resort, and actually it's a weekend party, and mom has given me permission already, and she will be supervising us because the moms also are coming along, but they won't be in the same place as we are. So we will have our time also, and then the ladies will have their time. And he thought that he could tag along with her and just, be in on the fun. But she said, no, it's with the lady friends. There are only ladies coming, no gents. Because by now she too had decided that rather than sit alone, let's find mothers who are like me without, the fathers. And then they had their own fun group. They got together and they realized that their needs were the same, and their anxieties to share their children's future was the same. And so they formed this group, where they used to all go together, the sons with their mothers or the daughters with their mothers, and they used to have a good time together wherever they would go. They might make 2 3 day trips also. So I can't tell you how disappointed the father was. It was like, he was floored with the idea. How could it be possible that my son doesn't want to go out with me? Then anyway, he tried again another day, on the next weekend. But the next weekend again, there was some other plan already on the cards. And this happened several times before the father realized that the son now had grown up and did not have time for him. It hit him between the eyes that there was this time when he could have spent it when he was much younger and more vital, and he could have spent that time with his son, but he didn't. And now the son doesn't need him. He has got his own friend circle, and he has outgrown the father, so to speak. So you see, it is very important that you spend that time, and that time is of the greatest essence. And then it just happened that while they were on one of these excursions returning, there was this bus accident, and needless to say, the inevitable happened that the only son was no more. And it has happened so many times in so many families. And he got this heartbreaking news that now I don't even have a son. And that man was inconsolable. You can earn all the money now that he had earned. He had made this huge monster of a hospital, and it was raking in so much of money that he couldn't even think of what to do with it. And he had planned an education abroad for his son in the best colleges of the world, but there was no son to enjoy it, and that broke him. That has broken many parents, some I know personally. And that is why I keep telling my parents of the children who I teach and who are in my colleges and schools that it's very essential to spend that time with your children, because those formative years can never come back. Those formative years cannot be bought, and it's worthwhile giving up everything. I told you I gave up 2 government jobs for my children, and I'm happy about that. And when you look back on the years, it was like, once my husband told me that the children will say that you taught hundreds of kids, thousands of kids, but the kids themselves will say, my mother never taught us. She was not there to teach us only. So that fear, that anxiety kept me away from my job, and I spent that time with my kids. And the job is such a thing that you can always catch up on it. That's what I'm doing right now. So the important thing is for parents a word of caution and a word of advice and a word of inspiration, motivation, that spend that time, because that time is so precious. That time never comes back. Make every second count.